Hey, everybody.
Hey, everyone. Welcome back. We just got done watching a pretty amazing X-Wing final match. Thank you for sticking around for the Warhammer 40,000 Conquest semifinals. I'm Andrew Navarro, joined by Team Covenant's Robert Johnson.
How you guys doing? How you doing, Andrew?
I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm doing great. This is very exciting. This is first ever Conquest tournament, man.
Yeah, first ever World Championship.
That's right.
Yeah, it's very exciting.
Oh, my goodness.
In the top four, we have 2 Space Marine decks and 2 Dark Eldar decks.
I wouldn't have thought that, honestly. Going into this, I mean, Dark Eldar are great, no doubt about it, but I think it would be a foregone conclusion to say that the meta at large was kind of expecting Eldar to dominate here. They've been doing pretty well in a lot of tournaments and a lot of local venues, but again, Dark Eldar are great, but a little bit of a surprise, at least to me.
Yeah, I'm not terribly surprised because I play awesome.
Oh, are they better than Eldar? Regular Eldar?
Well, I think part of what makes them awesome is that you can splash some of the best Eldar cards in them.
That's for sure.
Including the Eldar Survivalist.
Survivalist, everybody's talking about the Survivalist.
Yeah, the Survivalist is fantastic because you can deploy him to a planet and get an additional card and a resource just for having him there.
And he only costs 2.
Yeah,
what a deal.
Yeah, he's amazing.
Oh my goodness.
So yeah, and I was expecting to see quite a few Space Marines, and that bore out. There were over 30 Space Marine decks in the tournament. So I don't think it's any big surprise that there's a couple of Space Marines in the top 4. And one of those Space Marines is going to be played by Jeremy Zwern, who won the World Eater tournament at Gen Con, which was our single.
Yeah, he's on a roll.
Tournament.
He's on a roll, man.
He's quite good. Yeah, he's quite good.
Rumor has it.
Yeah, and he also, just in case you guys don't know, he also won our Call of Cthulhu championship this year.
So, oh, really?
Yeah, so he's on a roll. So I think
double threat.
Yeah, I think we need to spread the event out more so he can win more tournaments.
I think so. Yeah. Given enough opportunity, he'll win everything.
Yeah, so we'll see how he does. We're not going to be showing him in the future table here. We're going to be running 2 concurrent tables. We'll have both semifinals going on simultaneously. We're only going to be featuring one on the stream, but if that one cuts out early, then we'll cut over to the other table.
Sweet.
Yeah, so we'll be starting off with Pat and Davis.
Pat and Davis.
Pat is going to be playing Dark Eldar. Davis, he'll be playing the Space Marines. I guess it's
great.
It's more appropriate to call them by their warlords, because we can call them by their factions right now. But
Cato Sicarius.
Yeah, but pretty soon there'll be more warlords there. We won't be able to say just Space Marines because that won't mean anything. So yeah, so
that's true.
Captain Cato Sicarius versus Packmaster Kith.
That's correct.
And here we go.
We're underway, everybody.
Should we play out the planets correctly? So it looks like we're trying to determine first player here. They should put out the planets first. So at the beginning of each Conquest game, you take the 10 planets.
The planets are arrayed and revealed, and then you do your business.
That's right. Well, I think first what you do is you put them into play.
Okay.
And then you determine first player, and then the player takes the leftmost planet and then reveals them left to right.
Gotcha.
The first 5.
Was there not something where you determined like which end you were going to reveal from, or was it always left from the person?
It's always left from the first player.
Okay. There we go.
And at the beginning of each match, you get cards and resources equal to the values printed on your warlord. In this instance, it's 7 resources and 7 cards.
Awesome.
Each round thereafter, you get 4 resources for free and 2 cards.
2 cards, pretty standard, really.
Yeah, and then you see all those icons.
Those are the rules.
Those icons printed on the planets there, those are cards and resources. And during the command phase, you can gain additional cards and resources by winning command struggles there.
Represented by hammers.
Yes.
How appropriate.
Well, when you're looking for an icon, a catch-all icon.
What are we going to use?
I think hammer makes the most sense.
I agree wholeheartedly.
So it's just for anyone who doesn't know, what you're going to be trying to do in this game is you're going to be trying to capture those planets and gathering icons. To win, you want 3 icons of a specific color. So you see those icons there, they're blue, green, red. The first player to get 3 of one color will win. Alternatively, you can defeat your opponent's warlord by depleting their hit points and then depleting them again.
That's right.
I have not seen that happen very often.
It hasn't happened much, but I understand it's happened a few times actually in the top 8, as it were.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So it kind of maybe it's picked up a little bit as things have gotten a little bit more competitive here. When more is on the line, they're going to go for that crazy win condition. All right. So here we are. We have the 5 planets arrayed. and we are now going to start figuring out where we're going to go from there.
Yeah, so one of the things you do when you look at the board when the cards are rated is I just like to kind of look at it and take in when the game could end the soonest by capturing planets. And right now you see a lot of blue icons.
That's for sure.
The game could theoretically end on the third planet. So when you play Warhammer 40,000 Conquest, what you're doing is you're going to be fighting over these planets, but you can only claim planets when they're the first planet.
That's right.
And that is the leftmost planet. The other planets there, battles can take place there if there's a warlord present, but you can't actually claim those into your score area.
Right.
So each round, a planet will be scored. And I think that's one of the things I really like about this game is that it's kind of on from the beginning.
Yeah,
and
totally.
It's never going to last more than 7 rounds.
Yeah,
it's very, very fast.
I think that's one of the things that's a real hallmark of the game, because you have to achieve your objective within a window of opportunity here, and that encourages you to actually play the game. There's no actual ability for a player to really sit back and turtle up and stall the game out for some win condition that might be, not really in the present, but it's just something that they've tweaked their deck to build. But this game forces you to play it.
So looking at Pat's hand, he's got a lot of great resource cards there. He had a Void Pirate, a Rogue Trader, and the aforementioned Eldar Survivalist.
That's right.
So I mean, he's in a pretty good spot here where he can deploy some pretty cheap guys and put himself in a good position to get a lot of cards and resources going into the battle phase.
That's for sure. And one of the most interesting things about this game is when you're playing your cards at the planets, you have to always consider the tempo of the game, both not only when you're playing the cards, but how you're playing the cards. So you're playing your cheap ones first relative to you having initiative or not. Are you reversing that? It all matters, because whatever you have in terms of resources and cards available will help dictate, or help you decide rather, what it is that you need to do that's most advantageous relative to what your opponent has available. All right, so first up, we've got some marksmen going in, and that's Planum. I don't know how exactly you pronounce that one.
I've kind of given up on pronouncing some of these titles because it's just
they might have new phonetic
vowels.
Rules that far in the future that don't apply to us just yet.
Right.
We can't really be sure.
I'm sorry, that's Planum.
Planum.
Eldar Survivalist, that's one of my favorite cards.
And for good reason. Let's see it.
He's got an awesome scarf, too.
Yeah, he's looking great. The thing that always draws me to Eldar whenever I have any kind of doubts about how cool they are, it's just awesome helmets, and they just look good wearing it. All right, so there he is, the Survivalist, coming into play here.
Yep, and it's great putting him on that fifth planet. He'll just hang out there by himself. The theme is awesome, because those Survivalists are intended to be kind of like outcasts doing their own thing, which is pretty sweet.
And that planet is Farron.
So just to explain a little bit, as these guys are deploying their units to the planets, we mentioned those hammer icons. In order to gain the resources and cards from those planets, you need to have more command icons on ready units than your opponent.
That's right.
If you have the same number, then it's a wash and no one gets anything.
Yeah, you don't want that generally, unless you're way far behind. If somebody has stacked up a bunch of Survivalists at a planet, that's the kind of thing that you want to mitigate as soon as possible, maybe by sending your warlord there.
Well, exactly, and what he's done there is he's put a unit there that has 2 command icons.
That's right.
And that is another great utility card, because that's a very cheap unit with 2 command icons.
Yeah, you always want to favor those things potentially early on in the game, because it's the point in time where getting ahead economically is going to have the biggest payoff. Your curve is really going to benefit from that over time.
Yeah, and as the game goes on and those planets get claimed, there become fewer and fewer resources available for you to even gather.
That's right.
You want to get as many as you can in the early game as possible.
So what are you thinking here with these 2 particular warlords? And so both of them, of course, have their tricks, but is Cato Sicarius, is he going to be good against the Packmaster in terms of dealing with all those chimeras that are going to be spat out here?
It's a tough matchup in that Cato Sicarius' ability is that whenever a unit is destroyed at a planet where he's present, the player gains a resource. And Packmaster Kith, whenever she's deployed at a planet, she generates a Chimera token.
Right.
Chimeras are
nasty.
They're 2 strength, 1 hit point. So they're kind of there to Kato can kind of eat those guys.
That's right.
And gather resources. So
Rogue Trader coming in.
So I think Pat needs to be aware of that, and obviously he's here in the top 4. And like I said, there's lots of Kato Sicarius in the tournament, so I'm sure he's navigated that minefield already.
Yeah. Well seasoned by this point. How many? I can't recall. How many rounds did they go through in the Swiss part of this?
I do not know how many rounds.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
It's probably 6 or 7.
Yeah, I know we had well over 100 players.
Awesome. It's a great turnout. Got to weigh this balance carefully right here. And it's interesting right now. There is only 1 unit deployed at the first planet right now. That's a precarious position for a lot of people. But it's veteran brother Maxos, and that's a really nice card to have anywhere where there's about to be a critical battle, because he can bring in some reinforcements in a pinch.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I've found the more that I've played, the more I am and my opponent is willing to let that first planet go.
Yeah.
It's tough in this instance, though, because it's got 3 icons.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, I would be very reluctant to give that up, honestly.
Yeah, and
because it's worth noting, there is a win condition available within the first 3 planets here.
Exactly.
And that's dangerous, if not the first 4, because all 4 of the first 4 share that blue hammer icon. What do we call that? Is that the I'm still not totally boned up on all the technical terms for those icons.
Neither am I. I like calling them red, blue, and green.
Okay, red, blue, and green.
They do have names.
Hope you boys like blue hammers, because that's what we're getting. Lots of hammers. All right, some critical decisions. Looks like a road trader's about to come in.
Yeah, no, he's been thinking about this for quite a while.
There it is, at long last. At the 4th planet, +1 card.
Well, it's going to be a wash at most of these planets, honestly.
That's true. It's where the determination of where you're sending your warlord is going to become super critical. Not only, of course, for the command struggle, but then the battle to follow. Because wherever there's a warlord, there's a battle, and some of these planets are going to have some super important battle abilities.
Well, it's going to be a wash at most of these planets. All right, so at this point in the game, both players will adjust this dial, and what this dial is doing is saying where they're going to be sending their warlords.
First reveal. Looks like we've got a 4 and maybe a 5.
A 5, yeah. So Pat's deciding he really wants to get those extra cards and resources.
It's a good play. I like that a lot.
Yeah, but at the cost of letting that first planet go.
It's true, and it's a big one. Now, that's going to be an interesting battle effect at that first planet, because each player puts a unit into play from his hand at his HQ. Depending on what you've got there, that may or may not be a good thing, but then, of course, you have to weigh the chance that your opponent might have something better.
Yeah, well, before they drew up here during the command phase, they didn't have a lot, so we'll see. We'll have to top deck something, I think, to make that worthwhile.
All right, what is that? Is he I can't remember his exact name, but our Tau trader is bumping over to another planet, because he would have gotten smoked at that battle to follow had he stuck around. That's one of his best perks right there. 2 command icons, and he's a slippery little trader right there.
That's a Vashya Trailblazer.
Trailblazer, there we go. Thank you, sir.
They have the mobile keyword, so they can move to an adjacent planet before battles begin. So a battle happened at that first planet there. It looks like he decided to not trigger it.
All right.
And then battles happen at each planet at which a warlord is present. So that rogue trader bit the dust.
See you later. He had a short life, and sadly a little unproductive.
Yeah, so what happened to that planet there is when combat begins, any unit with a ranged keyword gets to attack first, and that marksman just sniped him before he could do anything. Not that the trader had any chance regardless.
Poor little guy.
So you trigger that battle ability to move veteran brother Maxos to the next planet. That's pretty nice.
It's a great maneuver. It's going to allow him to carry that momentum over. Because Brother Maxos is going to be able to bring a lot of reinforcements when he needs it in a pinch.
Yep. And he counters it by triggering the battle ability of the 5th planet,
Excellent.
which allows him to route
Route
that
him.
unit.
See you later, alligator. He's, of course, not an actual alligator. All right, so we are refreshing here. We're getting some 4 resources and 2 cards apiece, and then that new 5th planet is about to be revealed. I can't wait to see it.
Yeah, I mean, the decision there to let that first planet go, I think really puts a lot of pressure on Pat to try to claim this next one, or else it's all going to come down to the 3rd planet. I just don't like being in that position.
Yeah, in this game, there is a lot of potential for things to snowball. So on a Tricon like that, I hope that's something that won't be regretted later. All right, so we've got that new planet revealed. I believe it's Atrox Prime.
Yes.
And its battle ability is deal 1 damage to each enemy unit at a target HQ or adjacent planet. A very nice one indeed. That'll shake things up if things get that far.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know how much it actually will come into play unless this game ends up going that far. Otherwise, it's not going to do much.
That's right.
I think he could potentially use it to ping that Eldar survivalist, a couple times if he needed to. It also it's pretty good at getting rid of chimeras. So if a bunch of chimeras end up going back to HQ, they can all be toast in an instant.
And then, of course, worth remembering here what both players are using as their reset cards, so to speak. Of course, with the Space Marines, they're going to bring Exterminatus. And with the Dark Eldar, they're going to have access to Doom.
Yeah, but you see 2 copies in Pat's hand right now.
Mm-hmm.
All the resets in the game, I think, are very well balanced. They all have restrictions on them in such a way where you have to play them at very specific moments in time.
Which is awesome. I really like that, unlike a game like Game of Thrones where there's only real one kind of reset. So we just got the Earthcast Technician coming into play at the 5th planet. But like I was saying, the variance in the modes of resets really adds a lot of interesting dynamics that can come into play because you have to take that into account with what your opponent could potentially bring to the table.
Mm-hmm. So Doom destroys all units at the player's HQ, or both players' HQ.
That's right.
So you really just need to, kind of like Valar in Thrones, you just kind of need to wait for the opportunity where it's worse for your opponent to lose all of his guys than for you.
Yeah, that's right.
Or make sure the units aren't there when you do it.
Yes. Which there should be a good probability of that, particularly with the Eldar in tow. They're pretty tricksy at that kind of thing. Ooh, another survivalist coming out? That would be amazing.
I don't know. I think he's got to start...
He does.
He has to start kind of putting in guys who can do some damage. And so he's got a Baleful Mandrake in hand. That's a nice unit. I think he's got ranged.
I think we just got an ion rifle added to our marksman. It's going to give him +3 attack. Probably, I think, the most effective damage upgrade in the game presently. Paying 1 for 3, that's great.
And especially on a character that's already ranged.
Oh yeah, ranged is going to be something we're going to have to deal with as it becomes more prevalent in the game, as more cards get that keyword, because it's one of those things that upsets battle math almost as much, maybe if not more, we'll have to wait and see, than Area of Effect does. It's just a really big deal.
Yeah, and being able to deal 4 damage is significant.
That's a lot.
It's significant in this game.
Yes.
I think most of the units that have what I would consider to be a fair number of hit points, it hits right around 3.
Exactly.
So you notice in their hands there on those cards, they have these little icons like right underneath the cost on a few of them. Those are shields. So you can discard those during combat to deny damage on a unit.
At any time, yeah. Actually, anytime a unit would be dealt damage, you can do that.
Which is why it's significant to deal 4 damage, because getting rid of a 1 pip shield card on when you're getting 4 damage to a 3 hit point guy is not going to help you at all.
Yeah, it's true, and it really comes in advantage in my mind, and in this particular kind of scenario here, where we've got somebody playing with Cato Sicarius, to negate the awful potency of the Sicarius' chosen unit. So it's going to, of course, ping a unit for a damage and then move it over to the planet that the Sicarius' chosen is currently on. But it's really adding insult to injury, because a lot of units are going to die from that 1 damage. But if you can prevent it because it might be a choice unit, that's always a good option to exploit.
What's interesting here, I think Davis is, it's looking like he's either going to let the first planet go again and then focus on the 3rd and then maybe the 5th.
Yeah.
With those other blue icons, potentially.
I hope that doesn't come back to haunt him. I really don't.
Well, we'll see. I mean, he's, as you mentioned, that Veteran Brother Maxos allows you to pay the cost during combat to put a unit into play. He may just be, he may go to Planet 1 with Veteran Brother Maxos there and put more guys into play at that planet. And
here we go. Sicarius is chosen, pinging the Eldar Survivalist. Fortunately, he has 2 hit points, so he'll survive.
He's contemplating a shield. I don't think he's going to do it.
No shields, but he will take a damage, of course. So the Survivalist halfway dead, or as Princess Bride fans might call it, mostly dead. We're rounding up.
That's kind of glass is half empty, isn't
That's
it?
That's right.
He's mostly alive. Though, going back to the
another Survivalist.
Yeah, I didn't sweat it too much.
That's right.
Going back to the idea of Veteran Brother Maxos bringing a guy into play, like right now, he only has the eager recruit in hand,
true.
Which is going to be able to go into play anyway.
And not a lot of resources to pay for anything anyway. Yeah. So here we are. It's dial time. Let's see what everybody's going to go with. Can't quite make out everybody's choice presently.
Yeah, I couldn't quite tell on that first one. I want to say it was a 5, but I couldn't quite see it.
We're just going to have to wait and see.
I know, like everybody else.
A big old 5-10 seconds from now. Ooh, there's a lot of turning going on over here.
Yeah, no. As I mentioned yesterday, this is definitely my favorite part of the game.
It is. I mean, there's always something that is exhilarating about not knowing what your opponent is going to do. It's a complete free decision for them to make. All right, so what do we have here?
They both go to 3? Is that what happened?
Maybe. Yes, confirmed.
Oh, big old battle at Planet 3.
All right, so that's planum, however you would like to pronounce it. The battle effect there is move a non-warlord unit you control to the planet of your choice. And then it looks like that first planet is just going to get rolled right up, though, which is handy. Handy. It'll stem the tide a little bit here. All right, so the command phase has been resolved. Cards and resources have been gathered. And now it is time to do battle first, of course, at the first planet. And the battle effect there is search the top 3 cards of your deck for a card, add it to your hand, and place the remaining cards on the bottom of your deck in any order. A really handy ability.
Yeah, and I think it's especially with the card pool as it is now, it's just the core set.
Yes.
It's getting a card is nice, but then putting 2 cards on the bottom can be particularly painful because right now there is no way to get them back.
It's true. It's true.
So it's a tough choice.
One of the things I've encountered with that planet is if you potentially happen to trigger enough, especially with the other planet that lets you trigger another planet's ability, you can cycle through enough of your cards that eventually those ones that you put on the bottom will find their way to the top sooner rather than later.
It takes a lot of work to get there, though.
It does. I think on one particular game I played, I may have triggered it 3 or 4 times, so it had quite an impact later on, especially in the latter part of the game when it's like, oh man, everything's in the exact order I'd like.
I believe the Eldar also have some cards that allow you to search the top 6 and
Yes.
put 5 at the bottom, so
Yes.
that's another way of cycling through a little bit more.
It's true. All right, here we go. It's time to start fighting.
The Battle of Planum. Planum.
Planum. Planum. All right, so there it is. First planet, snatched. And then now we're moving on to the second planet, which is at the third planet. Or the second battle, which is at the third planet, that's what I meant to say. And range is going to happen first from the marksman. He's going to be hitting for 4. Oh, going directly for the Packmaster, evidently. That's a big deal.
I think that's a good decision.
I agree. If you can go for that Warlord kill, that is the thing to do. And with ranged 4 damage, that is a pretty good probability of actually making that happen. But 3 shields, that will really upset that plan in a big way. So only 1 damage going on the Packmaster.
But you do lose that 3 shield card and you know it's gone.
Yes.
There's only 1 in the deck.
There can be only 1. Then we've got a Chimera coming in, swinging in, and killing our marksman, which is a big loss.
I'd take that trade.
Yes, any day.
As Pat.
As Pat. Yes.
Just to be clear.
Yes, yes. I mean, a very good trade for Pat here. Sakari's chosen, swinging in and attacking that Dark Eldar unit whose name I do not know. Nor
the Baleful Mandrake.
Thank you so much. But the attack was shielded for 2, so nothing came of it. And then the Packmaster herself swinging for 2 against a target to be determined. Will we see a shield? What do you think? Oh, going for the brother.
I don't remember what he has in his hand. Nope.
Fortunately, he has 3 hit points, so only mostly lethal damage. And Kato is going to come in and hit the Mandrake. It's always an interesting thing to see how players allocate their damage to the various units at a battle because, yeah, you could try to dump it all on the Warlord, but they can retreat at any time when they would want to make their attack or in between the rounds of the attack. So it's a mixed bag to try to make that kind of strategy happen.
Looks like he shielded that damage as well.
Ooh, excellent. Shields for days.
Yeah, he's using a lot of shields in this battle. That would make me nervous.
Yeah, gave up a raid. So, and that's another thing you have to consider is the tempo and pacing of your shield use. There might be something that looks real advantageous now that's worthy of a shield, but is it going to have that long-term import that you might want later? All right, resetting. Is anybody going to retreat? I don't know.
So at the end of each full combat, after everyone attacks, starting with the first player, you get the option to retreat and go back to your headquarters. If both players say we're not retreating, then you fight.
More fighting.
Again.
More fighting, please.
Yeah, but as you mentioned before, Robert, the Warlord is a little special case where whenever the Warlord could attack, they can retreat instead by themselves and leave their units to die alone.
We've been deserted. Abandoned on this wretched planet.
The Dark Eldar aren't the nicest people.
No, they are not. I think they are pretty much near the bottom of the list. I think they might have an argument. There's an argument to be made with Tau. Chaos. Well, Tyranids are just they're big buggy alien things. I don't know if they really appreciate the suffering they cause.
They're probably right.
The Dark Eldar savor it. They're
right.
crazy.
Yeah, you're right. That is a little worse. That is a little worse. All right, playing Indomitable.
Oh man, no damage. That card. How many copies of that? Is it in the signature squad? I can't recall.
It is not.
So you can run 3 copies. There you go. Whew. What a card.
Yeah, just ignores all damage.
Mm-hmm. But only during combat.
Only during combat, which we learned a few days ago.
Yes. Glad we didn't make that same mistake. It's very nice to give your opponent a big stack of damage tokens. Just sort of as a reminder.
Just in case.
I think, probably. Why don't you go ahead and have some?
He's just salivating over that Doom.
That's right.
Hoping to play it.
Ooh, man, promotions for days. Days and days and days.
He also has an Iron Halo in hand.
I love that card.
That is quite good. saw that played yesterday. That is another damage cancel. You just attach it to a character and then exhaust it to cancel all damage.
Unbelievable.
And that is not just combat. That's anytime.
Anytime. A fantastic card to be sure. One of the things that I think makes old Cato Sicarius so good. So very good indeed.
I like that they're both staying here, sticking it out for this second battle.
Yeah, totally. If you're going to fight for it, you need to fight for it. Yeah. Make it good. Entertain us, please.
I also like the idea of...
Are you not entertained?
I also like the idea of tossing one Doom.
Yeah, right? Just to make them think.
And I think you know, you mentioned this the other day, like throwing that one out is almost a clear signal that he has another one in hand.
Right. I would not willy-nilly throw away one of my resets like that. It would be a pretty big deal, and only, in my opinion, if I were them, if I had another one waiting in reserve. And we're going to have to just wait and see if it gets used. But it doesn't look like there's going to be a lot of action in terms of units at HQ, at least for the near future.
Right.
About the only time you're going to see that is, of course, if there's a big retreat from a planet like the one we're currently at, or after the first planet has been claimed and you essentially have to retreat.
Yeah, so when the first planet is claimed, all army units at that planet go back to HQ.
Mm-hmm.
Otherwise, they just stay there. At the end of the combat phase, the warlord just goes back to HQ by themselves.
That's right.
And Doom obviously does not have any effect on them.
Doom. But worth noting that Exterminatus is again still in play, and that could be a pretty big deal in latter rounds of this game. Particularly next turn if it's drawn in time, because Planum might be a critical planet to win to get that third blue icon.
Yeah, it looks like veteran brother Maxos has just been eliminated. I don't know. Exterminatus, I don't think was really going to come into play necessarily at that planet, just because there's no more unique units there now.
That's true.
Maybe if Maxos was still there.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, Exterminatus is the Space Marine reset, where when you it destroys all planets at a planet, all
units.
All planets at a planet,
all planets at a planet,
every planet at that planet, which is one exactly. All units at a planet, friendly or enemy, but it does not affect unique units.
There you go.
And the other restriction on that is it cannot be the first planet.
That's right. My goodness, can you imagine if it could affect the first planet? That would change some things.
I could imagine that. That would be very frustrating.
I think my personal favorite presently is that Doom may be the most effective of the resets, if played appropriately, of course. But if Exterminatus could be used at the first planet, I think it would take the cake pretty easily.
Yeah.
All right, Mandrake out.
Finally dead.
See ya.
Not a lot of damage left there, because that Survivalist has no attack value, and Packmaster Kith only has 2.
Worth noting that even if it can't do damage, it must still exhaust to attack. All right, see ya, Survivalist. Interesting choice there. Interesting choice. I would have swung at the Packmaster. I would like to...
He knew he had that 2 more coming on to her.
That's true.
You're not going to bloody the Warlord, because she has, I believe she has 7 hit points.
I think it's 6.
Does she have 6?
I think she's a 2/6. I could be wrong.
If that's true, then you're right. It is an interesting choice. Yes, it is a 2/6. Yeah, so she potentially, just to kill that Survivalist, lost the opportunity to bloody the Warlord.
Which is something that you should go for, in my opinion. Whenever you can bloody, please do. Especially in this last case, it didn't seem like it was otherwise going to affect too much, because even if the Survivalist survived and then redeployed, he would come to that new planet exhausted, not contributing any tokens or anything like that, and it would just not be that big of a deal.
Yep. So Packmaster Kith ran away.
See you later.
Battle 1 moved the eager recruit to the first planet.
Good choice. All right, so we're resetting. Of course, this means we're getting more tokens, more cards.
The final planet.
4 and 2, respectively.
And that is a great planet to have as the last planet, because that allows you to trigger the battle ability of any other planet.
You are correct, sir. That is one of my favorite planets. But it's pretty far down the line. It'll be interesting to see if anybody wants to actually send their warlord there.
But that's where you want it.
It's
I mean,
true.
that's where you want it.
But you have to consider now that we have 2 more planets in play, both of which, or the next 2 planets in play, both have that blue hammer icon. And if either one of them wants to send their warlord way down to the end of the line to that 5th planet now, they probably will be sacrificing their ability to contend at one of those 2 planets. And the game win condition there.
Mm-hmm. Some pretty costly units in Pat's hand.
That's for sure. Now, he has a fair bit of resources at 7. Good chunk. But
it's
again,
not a ton.
It's not a ton. You're exactly right. So let's see what's about to get plopped down here. Oh, man.
Another Baleful Mandrake.
Yeah, that's right. Ooh, an upgrade. Ooh, another ion rifle.
Yeah, and that 10th Company Scout.
He's going to be doing some work. I think is he a 2-1? I can't quite remember.
I believe so. You can look that up real quick. He's a 2-1, correct.
He's a 2-1.
Yeah, so I mean, the only downside obviously is he's a little squishy, but
yes.
Important to know.
He has initiative.
Yeah, he has initiative, exactly. So he'll be getting that attack off, barring shenanigans.
Let's hope. Let's hope there are plenty of shenanigans. All right, some, of course, careful consideration here. This is just such an amazing part of this game is the kind of overarching strategic thinking that you have to do in order to be successful at this game. If you can't really bring that to the table, you're going to suffer in this game. So Sakari's Chosen just got promoted. Comes with an automatic pay grade and a free pay upgrade and a free car. And maybe a Frosty.
Yeah, I don't
maybe
think a Space Marine fit very well in a car.
Yeah,
it's very tall.
It's a 4-door pickup.
Okay.
And it's been retrofitted to accommodate even the bulkiest of armor suits. It's going to be very nice.
You'd have to wear the armor.
That's
in the
right.
car.
You have to. It's required. You're Sakari's Chosen. I mean, you're a battle-hardened veteran. You're going to always wear that armor. You got all those victory ribbons and things.
I'm just imagining a Space Marine in full armor in a Cooper Mini right now.
Yeah, I don't think that would ever work, really. There's nothing mini about a Space Marine. And right now, I think worth noting that Davis here is in, I would say, a little bit of a pickle. He's got 2 cards left, one of which is a promotion, the other of which is his Iron Halo, which means that he can't really extend his overall footprint on these sets of planets very much, if at all, except with promotion, of course, which is only going to affect the command phase. So this may give Pat a really good opportunity to consolidate his position and maybe start gaining some planets that'll give him the win.
And he deployed a Wild Rider squadron to the first planet there. Those guys are pretty powerful in that they it's like the mobile ability, but they can move during combat instead.
Yes, which is just a little bit more flexible. Not quite mobile, but maybe a little bit better.
Yeah, I mean, potentially it gives him the option that if he feels like the battle's going well there, he can use that action to move him over to the next planet.
That's right.
Instead of going back to the HQ.
All right, it's dial time yet again, everybody. What are you thinking here?
I don't know. It's a tough call because you got 2 blue icons here on these next 2 planets.
That's right.
I think you have to put up a pretty good fight for this one.
Yeah, you sure do.
And then,
especially for Pat here.
Yeah, but I think you really need to. I think if the battle starts to go the wrong way, you've got to get out of there so that you have the units necessary to fight at the next planet. Because if you lose that one and then lose the next, obviously it's game over.
That's true. And again, if I were Davis, I would commit to that first planet, because at that point, any other planet is the win. It just doesn't matter. Having 2 Tricons gives you a lot of flexibility throughout the game. So let's see what we're doing here. Pat, can't quite make it out.
I think Pat really wants to go to 1, mostly to get trigger the battle ability, which allows him to remove all damage.
Yeah,
obviously, it'll put him
close. Packmaster.
Yeah, obviously it'll put him closer to the win, but having that additional effect, I think, would be a great bonus.
It's also a risk, though. Okay, so Pat going to 2, and Davis going to 1. I think good moves by both players. Because going to that first planet for Pat might have been a suicide run, considering Davis has initiative. Just 2 damage would bloody up that Packmaster. Not what you want to see. All right, so we're resolving the command phase, of course, now. Getting some resources and cards. And it looks like Davis got the better end of that bargain as well. I think it's going to be a real challenge now for Pat to overcome this lead that Davis is making here.
Yeah, clear advantage in command icons.
And but we're going to see Davis, of course, has fewer cards in hand than Pat does. Actually, I'm not quite sure if that's the case anymore. I wasn't quite tracking how many cards he drew from the command phase, but let's see if we can figure that out. It was at least 1, 2 cards, maybe 3. Yeah, at least 3 cards. So hopefully he got some stuff that will help him, because otherwise he doesn't have too much in the way of shields or things that he could, say, drop Pod Assault in or that kind of thing. All right, so the Scout taking a shot. Killing one of those Dark Eldar units.
Yep, and he got that Wild Rider Squadron out of there immediately.
Yes, see ya. I know, he knew a losing battle when he saw one.
Yep, so good tactical retreat. Puts him in a decent position for the next planet, honestly, because a battle is going to happen there.
That's right.
Right now, and then next turn he'll have initiative.
So that's going to give Davis 2 Tricon planets, so 2 of each of the icons. So any other planet he wins is going to be the game. But at the same time, he also won a battle that really didn't do anything for him at this last planet. But at least even preventing Pat from getting it is a pretty big deal in its own right.
So we've learned that the other top 4 match is concluded, and Jeremy Zwern.
Wow.
Into the finals.
Wow.
Playing Space Marines.
It might be, if this is going the way I think it's going, it might be Space Marine versus Space Marine.
Space Marine versus Space Marine, that's
just
possible.
Just like that World Eater tournament. They're just a very solid faction. They have some good cards that you just don't want to see. If you're playing against them, anyway. Playing with them, you want to see them all.
Space Marines versus Space Marines is a pretty good match.
It is.
But let's not get ahead of ourselves just yet. This game is not over.
It has yet to be decided. Davis, as you can see, is sitting on just a mountain of cash. Just a mountain. How much? At least 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 resources. That's a good amount. 4 more to come. He can afford pretty much anything he wants at this point. All right, that Mandrake moving over. An interesting maneuver, honestly. Because that next planet could be it.
Well, like you mentioned, Robert, any planet after...
Yeah.
From this point on is a battle you have to win.
That's right.
So I think he's just planning for the future because
he might feel confident that he can win this new first planet at Planum.
I like his chances there.
Planum.
Yeah, I like his chances there. And honestly, I would not be surprised if Davis just says, "Fine, take it," and just shores up at that second planet, brings more units there. And just prepares for the turn where he has initiative again, and then just takes it.
It's true. It's very true. But yeah, again, look at this resource disparity here. We've got 6 to 14 in resource count, which the effects are going to be felt pretty immediately here. I imagine that Davis is just going to deploy whatever he feels like at Planum here, which is the current first planet. But that said, Pat does now have initiative, and that's going to be key for him winning this battle if it's going to be done at all. All right, first deployment. You know that card.
Yep.
I don't.
That is the signature unit in Packmaster Kith's signature set. It's Kith's Chimera Masters, and they have the same ability that she does. They bring a Chimera with them.
That is amazing. That's the kind of thing that Pat needs here in order to turn this around nicely. Some amazing art on that card as well, by the way. Worth noting.
Yeah, it's pretty great.
Worth noting. Oh my goodness, an honored librarian in Davis's hand. That is a very big deal right now. That's the kind of card that wins battles, almost single-handedly.
Yeah, especially paired with that Iron Halo. That could be bad.
Goodness, you're exactly right. So a promotion going down on a marksman at that fourth and final planet, actually, right now. It's going to yield probably one card and one resource to Davis.
Yeah, I think he's just trying to deny Pat any tricks he feels he might have up his sleeve by just keeping those resources. Obviously, he doesn't need them.
He does not need them, and he just stalled for time essentially. Now Pat has to play a card or pass potentially, and Davis has not spent anything as of yet. He's still sitting on 14 resources and a goodly number of cards. Meantime, though, Pat did now just play a unit at the third planet, Aptox Prime, and it has 2 command icons, so that's going to override the Earthcast Technician, give him at least a card and a resource unless Davis can do something about it. Which, that could be the kind of thing that will make every difference in the world in these upcoming battles. Sometimes you just need one shield. Okay, so there it is, Honored Librarian, not going to the first planet, going to the second. I think Davis is totally choosing his battlefield. There's too much going on at that first planet in his mind right now, and he'll just forego it. He's not concerned.
He doesn't need it.
Oh, and then a Land Raider. This is totally his strategy. This is again the luxury of getting some of those Tricon planets, and why you need to think about contesting them at almost every turn. They are a very big deal when you start racking them up.
Yeah, right now Pat's holding a Twisted Laboratory in his hand, and that I think is honestly his only shot of doing anything at this next turn.
Mm-hmm.
Because Twisted Laboratory, when you exhaust it, you blank a text box of a unit. Davis might not see that coming, and that might help him out. But apart from that, it's going to be tough sledding for Pat, I think.
All right, so I can only imagine Davis is going to 2 to reinforce his efforts there, just to drop off all the units more or less. And it looks like Pat also went to Planet 2. That is an interesting maneuver that I was not expecting.
Yeah, again, I think he's just anticipating that he would be there. And
yes,
that's what his strategy was.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's a great move because it gives him a chance, while he has initiative, to whittle down the forces of his opponent and give him a chance to keep his hopes alive, really.
Yeah,
that's
all. True.
That's essentially all he's doing at this point. So
yeah, he has to do something, and he has to do it now because next turn a potentially game-winning battle will occur, and more importantly, a potentially game-winning battle for the guy in the lead who will then have initiative. And initiative, it can't be understated how important that is. Getting that first strike off is sometimes all you need to tip the balance in your favor right from the onset of a battle.
Yeah, I like it a lot. I like the move a lot.
Yeah, it was bold.
And he also wins the battle ability, which allows him to move a unit elsewhere.
I can only imagine back to the current second planet.
Yep.
Everybody else retreats.
It's a great move.
Yeah,
it's a great move.
One of the beautiful incidental mechanical effects of this game is that as you progress down through the planets and they are captured by the players, it it makes more room for the players to array all of their cards because you're invariably going to have probably more cards at the end of the game rather than the beginning. So as you can see, they can spread things out and not have a cluttered planetary battle.
Yeah, and I really like it when the game gets like this too, where there ends up being just a ton of units on the table.
That's right.
It really gives you that epic feel that that Warhammer 40,000 is known for.
That's exactly right. So this is about to be a pretty big battle. I think that this might be a bigger battle than the one that might happen next turn because it's essentially coming a turn early than we might have otherwise anticipated. So whoever wins this might just win the game because each player has so much invested at this planet that losing it is kind of a game-deciding event.
And there's just again so many units on both sides. Lots of math to do.
Oh my goodness, yes. So first up, we've got some ranged. I believe that character has range or unit. Beg your pardon?
You are correct.
For 2. Can never remember the names. I'm still a little bit too new to have them all down. I'm sorry. They're going to find out, though.
There are the cards that stick out, for sure.
Yes.
And the other ones, you just kind of get to know them by their stats.
Those are the Altensar Rangers. It is a 2/2 with range, of course. 2 command icons on that guy. He's really contributing.
Yeah. He's in my Dark Eldar deck. I like him quite a bit.
Yeah, I can see why. For 3, you're getting a lot out of that card. All right, Mandrake doing some work. Hitting the Land Raider. Ooh. Now the Land Raider is quite beefy. It's going to take a lot of damage before it's going to leave this battle. But it's taken 3 right off the bat here.
It is apart from the Honored Librarian is the greatest threat though.
I agree.
So I don't think we said what the Honored Librarian does, but while he is at a planet with other units, he cannot be attacked.
That's right. Which is a big detriment to the opposing player because he's swinging for 4. 4 is well above the average damage curve, I would say. So being able to do that much damage without ever being targeted specifically with only 2 hit points, it's pretty nuts. All right, 3 more damage coming in. That Land Raider is on death's door. Oh, and a drop pod assault. Watch out. This is the kind of thing that makes Space Marines as crazy as they are.
You are at the mercy of the top of your deck, though.
That's correct. That is correct. Oh my goodness.
What?
Another Honored Librarian. That is about the best thing he could have pulled right now.
Agreed.
Oh my gosh.
Oh.
Honored Librarian coming in, bloodying the Packmaster. She, of course, goes back to HQ and into her bloodied state. If she gets loaded up on damage again, Pat will lose. A shield on the Land Raider. Great, keeps it in the game.
Throwing away that Iron Halo.
I'm imagining the Land Raider is going to hit that Chimera that is still standing, indeed.
Ready.
Readied, excuse me. Guess which game I play a lot of.
I did that yesterday. Yeah, man, what a pull, that Iron Librarian.
Yeah, my goodness. I'm a little in disbelief. That couldn't have been much better, honestly.
Yeah.
So it looks like the Trailblazer is going to try to kill that Chimera. Will it be shielded? Negative. And then, of course, Sicarius and the second Honor Librarian can still attack here, which is where things are really going to start to be decided now.
Yeah, Davis, he really did a great job of keeping his units out of HQ.
Yes, he did.
Not a lot of giant commitments at the first planet, so it never really gave Pat the opportunity to do a reset. And you can see you can see that's bearing fruit. I mean, just look at that board. Look at all those gigantic units that he has.
And then the scout finishes off our Rangers. So I think it's safe to say already, without it even being resolved yet, Davis has decisively won this battle.
Yep. We'll see if they play out this last round.
Yeah. I don't know what Pat could really do here. I think it's pretty well determined at this point. We're going to trigger this this battle, of course, and that's a rout effect. And so we're going to now rout those Rangers, I believe.
Insult to injury, I think
Yep.
they call that.
So they will no longer be contributing at the planet they just came from. So, playing them, going to Pat. Sadly, I don't think it's really going to do much.
Yeah, that second Honor Librarian coming out really sealed the deal.
Yes, 100%.
Just
I
got
can't
rid of
believe
all hope.
that. That is just a crazy awesome pull.
Yeah.
And then again, a reminder, this is probably the game-winning planet, and Davis has initiative, so it's going to be a really hard-fought battle for Pat. I don't see how he has any other choice but to try to go to that first planet, which is Farron.
Yep, it's going to be tough.
It's going to be very tough indeed. But this is another good point to point out where and how the resets that you have in this game can and can't be awesome because Davis has played in such a way that Doom was just never going to impact this game.
Right.
And that's the kind of thing that you have to do. You have to know what your opponent is going to try to do reset-wise, and you have to avoid it at pretty much all costs. Because they can win. It's a battle in and of itself. They can win a battle without ever really fighting one.
And we finally see an Exterminatus in Davis's hand. I think it's the first
That's
one
right.
he's shown. An Exterminatus didn't come into play either. It potentially could have greatly affected things at that.
That's
at
true.
This past round, but yeah, now it's just going to be a nice little one shield card for you.
The Earthcast Technician got a promotion. We got another, what is that, Beastmaster? Packmaster?
Pac-Man. Well, yeah, Beastmaster.
Beastmaster coming in.
Look that up again.
And of course he brings a Chimera with him.
Oh, Chimera Master, that's right. That's
Chimera
what it is.
Master.
It's Chimera Master.
Chimera Master. We were wrong on all counts. Apologies.
It's got the alliteration and everything. It didn't even help.
That's true.
Fact.
Fact.
Incubus Warrior. Strong but squishy unit. No surprises.
Here you go. First planet. I think this outcome is pretty well determined already. But let's see how it plays out. It could just be a very clear-cut case depending on how... Well, Packmaster Kith still has 5 hit points that it can endure. I don't think there is any potential for a one-shot here, but that otherwise could wrap up the game. But we're going to see a somewhat protracted battle just to whittle down all these units that happen to be present.
Yeah, I do appreciate that they're playing it out.
Yeah. Always play it out. You're in the top 4. All right. So Packmaster retreats immediately after taking 4 damage. All right.
Yeah,
so-
McTev 1977 in the chat, I think astutely points out that we didn't see any air of effect
That's right.
in this match, which he says is significant, and he's 100% correct. It is significant. No area of effect showed up. Space Marines didn't need it.
They did not need it.
And important to note that there are a lot of great area of effect cards in the Space Marine arsenal. So
Definitely bring it. As can the Dark Eldar.
they just got the one.
Yeah. Well, having any, I think of playing like Eldar and Tau, and they have nothing. All right, so a couple shields getting thrown down.
Sadly, the Doom goes to the shield bin.
Yep. All right, Void Pirate doing some serious work in this battle, let me tell you. I'm being quite facetious. All
He's
right.
there. He's helping.
That's right. Land Raider coming in, killing somebody. The Rangers. Land Raider bites the big one. Did a lot of work.
Yeah, it soaked up a ton of damage.
Yeah, it did.
An Eldar survivalist.
last but not least,
ironically, dies.
There he goes. All right, guys, that's it. Final match of the top 4 concluded.
Yeah, so we'll have Space Marines versus Space Marines in the final.
Marines and Space Marines. Congratulations to both Pat and Davis for making it this far. Of course, Davis is going to advance now to the final match, and we're going to have Space Marine versus Space Marine. How exciting!
Yeah, that should be fun.
It's going to be crazy.
And Jeremy, I've watched him play quite a bit.
Yeah,
he is he's a masterful tactician.
That he has to be. I think everybody needs to be to get to this point. But what's going to be really interesting here is that this is akin to what we saw in the World Eater tournament. But unlike that tournament, these players now can have access to as many core box cards as they like. Well, at least 3. So that's going to turn a lot of what we saw there up on its head, where in the World Eater tournament, there's a lot to be said for who the person who wins is going to be the one who sees their most vital and important cards first, because you can't really do a lot when you're only playing with 1 core box to enhance the consistency of your deck's ability to play itself. So now that you can, it's going to really come down to player skill and all that good stuff that we really like to see in these tournaments.
Yeah, and I think Jeremy wrote an article on our website that talked about why he chose Space Marines for that World Eater tournament, and just looking sheer at the numbers, knowing that he wasn't going to be able to have that consistency that you mentioned.
Yeah.
He thought they were really strong. Obviously, he liked them enough to stick with them.
Yeah.
And they, I think looking at them on the surface, they are incredibly strong right now. Especially, right out of the box, just 1 core set. I think it's likely to assume that over time that will change.
Yeah.
It's just a foregone conclusion.
Yeah. The meta will evolve. Yeah.
But right now they're incredibly strong. They have great damage canceling ability. They have a lot of units that have a lot of hit points, and they hit really hard.
That's true.
And,
Honored Librarians.
Yeah, and Cato's ability to generate resources when units die. I mean, you saw how many resources he ended up with at the end of that game.
That's for sure.
A lot of that, he did control the majority of the planets. He had a lot of board control, and he got a lot of resources that way. But you just put a lot of icing on that cake with Cato's ability as well. So
it's very true indeed. All right, guys, so there you have it. Thanks for tuning in. This was the top 4 of the Conquest tournament at Fantasy Flight's World Championship weekend, and we will have the final match coming at you just here in a little bit.
Yep, we'll take a short break, and we'll be right back.
Take care.